After years of waiting, the dragon from the Mythic tier is finally coming to retail. For months, it seemed like nothing new was going to happen with HeroQuest. Avalon Hill was still focused on First Light, and showing it at gaming festivals instead of showcasing anything new. That, of course, has now changed, but I'll get to that later. It seems like First Light has been overall well received by the community, and people have been delighted to find HeroQuest sitting next to other board games in Target. However, I don't think the game has caught on like wildfire in the same way it did in the 1990s. I still think the lower price point and smaller box size makes it a good option for those who want a more portable version of the game, and for those who were dissuaded from purchasing the base game because of its large price tag. One strange thing is that there's some inconsistency with the dice in First Light. The influencers and people who purchased the first wave of the expansion received white dice with red pips, yet people have also reported receiving red movement dice with white pips. I'm not sure why there's that inconsistency, but the dice are still functionally D6s, regardless of the color. On the Avalon Hill Discord server, we heard from the new global brand manager, who introduced himself and discussed plans to improve the Discord server. In addition, he mentioned that there will be an exciting few years of development. This seems to indicate that Avalon Hill is doing well financially, and that HeroQuest will be around for at least several more years. There's also been some rumors based on what's been seen on distributors' websites. These rumors are for Crypt of Perpetual Darkness and Wizards of Morcar. I'm inclined to believe these listings, as their prophecies are becoming true. At the Italian Play Festival, which was held in Bologna this year, Avalon Hill showcased First Light, but they also made a special announcement by revealing the retail release of Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. They made an Instagram post with some details. Before I read the caption, there's already a few things to point out, the first of which is that Joe Manganiello is attached, which makes sense because it's his expansion. The box has his name on it, which some people might not like, but I personally don't mind the stylized look of it. It fits in still. And his name being on the box art means we can continue the proprietary jokes that started because of him mentioning the word often in his reveal video during the HasLab campaign.
My 10 Adventure Quest book, along with proprietary miniature, proprietary game titles.
The box art is holographic, just like with Prophecy of Teller and Spirit Queen's Torment. It looks like the color shift is between green and yellow, with green being the dominating color, to match Venom's acid. And there's that gorgeous illustration of the dragon that we saw back in 2021 that was on the back of the Mythic tier box and quest book. This quest pack is coming in fall 2025, which isn't that far away. The team at Avalon Hill is thrilled to announce the August release of a premium version of the Crypt of Perpetual Darkness. This quest pack, previously only available to crowdfunders who supported HeroQuest relaunch, features quests designed by actor and game designer Joe Manganiello, and calls on you to save your homeland from the forces of dread. Venture into an ancient tomb to obtain a powerful artifact, and work together to keep the valuable treasure out of Zargon's clutches. Already own Crypt of Perpetual Darkness? An added metallic dragon miniature and foil embellished cards featuring chilling illustrations elevate this expansion, making it a must-have for collectors. Cover art is out now, more details coming soon from Joe. The metallic black dragon, I'd imagine, is the exact same sculpt as in the Mythic tier, but molded in a shiny black plastic instead of the grey. And I'm curious to see how they do the foil embellished cards. The Pokemon cards that I've seen with holographic effects are flat cards, while the HeroQuest cards have that linen texture on them. Readability is also affected by the holographic look under certain lighting, so my hope is that the foil embellishments are only on the pictures, ensuring that the text is still readable. I'm curious to hear from Joe soon, and I'm wondering if he'll be revealing the contents, or if he'll just be talking about the process of designing the quest pack. Over the April-long weekend, Joe's announcement came out. On his Instagram story, he shared a post where Stephen Colbert was holding HeroQuest. When a community member shared it initially, I thought that it might have been photoshopped, but I went to Joe's Instagram account and sure enough, it was real. Joe Manganiello was on The Late Show, and one of the topics discussed was surprisingly HeroQuest for a short period of time. The lead-up was Colbert and Joe discussing D&D as both play the game.
Do you still hit the dungeons?
You know something? I realized that Dungeons and Dragons and I were moving in different creative directions. And so I said...
Don't break my heart, Joe Manganiello.
And so I said to D&D, I think I need some space.
You need to see other games.
And so we separated.
Okay.
And while we were separated, I got back together with my ex.
Who's that?
The board game HeroQuest, made by Avalon Hill.
I appreciate the quick description of the game, and find it interesting how they chose to show the base game box instead of First Light.
Wait a second, this is really heavy.
Yes. So there it is.
What the hell
Okay, great.
is this?
All right.
What is
This is
HeroQuest?
HeroQuest is like D&D in a box. Okay, so you know how like when you're a dungeon master,
Yeah.
it's like preparing to direct a live episode of television every week.
Sure, exactly.
This doesn't require that.
And then we got our first look at the physical box for Crypt of Perpetual Darkness.
That is my quest book that I designed.
Joe Manganiello's The Crypt of Perpetual Darkness.
Yes.
Unfortunately, all that we saw of this expansion was the box itself. Though I will say that the holographic effect is always cool, even though it's just cosmetic. Even though he was careful to not directly show the back of the box, we still got a glimpse of it. If this is the final version of the box, it looks like it's deviating from the other expansions in terms of layout, because it looks like there's new card designs, presumably for the holographic cards, on the back instead of showing the miniatures and tiles like usual. And I'm certain that these are cards, even with the blurry image that we have, because it looks like a monster card is in the center with stats at the bottom. I'm not sure how I feel about the cards potentially being a different style than the other ones that we've received in the new version of HeroQuest, even if they look cool and are shiny. This HeroQuest promotion lasted only a minute or two, as other topics were quickly discussed, like Joe's latest Netflix show. But I still think it's a good sign to have HeroQuest advertised on mainstream media, and to let people know that it's returned.
The villain is a black dragon. There are 10 quests. You descend inside of a mountain. This dragon is taken over, like a novel you may have read before.
Yes.
And then it's basically you pick what character you want to play. You just pull it out of the box and go. There's no prep necessary.
Wow.
There was an app mentioned too, in the form of a joke that was a double entendre.
Do you have to play with other people, or can you play with yourself?
There's actually an app that will take the place of the game master, so you could play by yourself.
So AI is taking over at this point, is what you're saying.
Hispa's Argon and several community members have already been working on different options for the contents, based on the box size. For instance, the large tile that is the inn and Venom's chamber will have to be punched out to fit inside. And there's room for a few extra miniatures besides the dragon, whether those miniatures are heroes or monsters. I think it will be monsters within the box instead of heroes, as we already got the Bard, Druid, Warlock, and Knight in other quest packs. Because Joe likes Sir Ragnar, I could see there being a Sir Ragnar proxy within the box. Something like a special Dread Warrior in a new pose that we haven't seen before. He's the reason why we got the Sir Ragnar miniature in the Mythic tier, even though the character is only used in one quest, which is why I think that's still possible. Another possibility for additional miniatures are some of the special ones that are in just one quest. It would be really cool to see a Swamp Hag and Skeleton Minotaur in HeroQuest. If you're worried about them having limited uses, I'm sure you could use the Skeleton Minotaur in place of any other skeleton, and the Hag in place of any other sorcerer or spellcaster. What I hope doesn't happen is either there being no miniatures other than the dragon, or the box being filled with more of the Mythic tier sculpts in a different color of plastic. We already got them in Spirit Queen's Torment and Prophecy of Teller, and I'm not sure how excited people would be to purchase the same miniatures for a third time, even if it's bundled with the dragon. One hope I have is better quality control for the dragon. I remember when people first started opening their Mythic tier sets, there were a few complaints of missing pieces and having giant gaps where it was glued together. I'm also curious to see if they will make any changes to the sculpt at all. While it wasn't terrible, the dragon we got in the Mythic tier was top heavy, and could tip over if you weren't careful. I'm guessing there won't be major changes to the sculpt if they're using the exact same equipment that made the Mythic tier dragon, but I'm just speculating here. I'm also wondering if releasing this quest pack was the plan from the very beginning, or if this was something that materialized because of the continued success of the sets that Avalon Hill released. Because even though we didn't hit the stretch goal for it, we still somehow got the dragon and the alternate gargoyle sculpt back in fall 2020. And it's possible that Joe and Avalon Hill put the effort into making the dragon and quest book with the intention of releasing it as its own quest pack later down the road.
I called my friends at Hasbro, and they know how hard I worked on it, and they know how many of you were so excited about the relaunch and specifically getting my quest book, so Hasbro's come around.
Though I could be wrong, as HasLab projects generally are limited time releases just for the backers. HeroQuest is kind of the exception, as it's been a retail product for years now. If you're wondering about my thoughts on Crypt of Perpetual Darkness finally coming to retail, I think this is one of the most exciting pieces of HeroQuest news yet. So many people were happy to have a dragon in HeroQuest when they first learned of the dragon stretch goal, because slaying dragons is a fantasy staple, and excitement about the dragon was evident when I was opening up my Mythic tier set.
Yeah, that's a big miniature. That's going to be fun to play and fun to paint. I am looking forward to that.
And I'm sure it was like that for many other people too. Crypt of Perpetual Darkness was the last big piece of the Mythic tier that was missing from retail releases, and I'm glad to see that those who missed out on the HasLab campaign will be able to purchase it. The dragon being molded in black metallic plastic means it will be different from the Mythic tier version, just like the transparent miniatures. The original Mythic tier dragon still retains its value and exclusivity for collectors, while the new version of it will be obtainable for a reasonable price. This is a win-win scenario that satisfies Mythic tier backers, collectors, and those who missed out. Plus, having Joe talk about HeroQuest again is certain to make a few more people interested in the game. We'll just have to wait to see what the box contains, but besides a couple app updates, for now, this is all the HeroQuest news. Goodbye.